Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. It's me, Demi, your MC, and of course, we got our good friend Solex Cross, fellow commentator, just a veteran player, a master from the N1 Grand Prix, and just all sorts of just a good guy in general. Here with us to be ranking what, in my opinion, are the top 50 to 51 patch cards. We know that patch cards are a really overwhelming format. So I did kind of a deep cut here. I tried to slice as many of the 118 patch cards as possible before we even start, really breaking them down and talking about them. There's quite a few, as you can see. Now, maybe one day, Sol and I were talking, we might actually end up doing all of them in the future. But in my opinion, this is like a good place to start, because you don't want to start with way too many. I don't know, Sol, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's good to just look at some of the more chosen cards and go through them and see what they're about and see how they fare against each other. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, totally. Now, before we start too, I think it's important for both of us, because we're both going to be kind of sharing our takes, and maybe Sol, you'll be making your own tier list too. If you have like if we disagree on stuff and we can maybe compare them at the end. I have a feeling we probably won't be too off on many of these cards, but I was thinking we should probably break down what S, A, B, like how are we defining them roughly, each of these tiers. So my thought is S tier, without a doubt, like that's like, so efficient, like, just like the best of the best. You're going to see it everywhere, and I guess A would be like, extremely strong, build around me type of thing. And maybe B would be like, if you do specifically build around, it can be good, but you wouldn't just jam it in. I don't know. Any thoughts on these?
Honestly, I think S is spot on. We're looking for efficiency in terms of like the size of the card versus the abilities and the abilities on the card, right? So you really want to look at the best bang for your buck, and that's kind of what we should be taking a look at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess C would just be like kind of mid. It would literally just be like, it's like, okay, it's not like great, but okay. And then I guess C would just be like kind of bad. I don't know. Unless you have any thoughts on C and D before we keep going.
I think for C, we should go for like, mid, but not terrible cards.
Yeah.
They definitely have a niche. They can definitely provide you with some kind of role if you build around it, right? I think D should be renamed to F, and these are like, we don't play.
I like it.
But honestly, out of these 50, I don't think we have any F. So maybe.
Yeah, I tried to prune it ahead of time. Yeah, so if we throw anything in F, that'd be pretty great, I think. But this seems good. Hilarious. I think honestly, S, A, B, and C all sound pretty good to me too. So I think at the end of the day, that's solid stuff. All right, so starting us off, we've got this lovely little slime right here. His whole deal is his charge attack, which becomes a panel grab, right? So you can constantly, chip away at your opponent's area. So any thoughts on the Slimer?
So when you look at the abilities, right? First of all, most mod cards, they're going to give you a special body type, which is Aqua, Fire, Wood, or Elect. This one particularly gives you Aqua. Right. Aqua is not really good as a body type. You don't usually want Aqua. The reason being is that one of the best mod cards, or two of the best mod cards actually, have ability to give you a charge shot Elect. So like, you can get chip recovery for 30, but also you're doing Ball Thunder charge shot, which is very common, especially for like Gregar players, right? And then you can also get Elect Pulse as a charge shot. So right off the bat, these are two very popular mon cards that do see a lot of play. So having Aqua Body means you're just taking double damage from that.
Yeah, let alone like Judge Man and other common like electric chips you might see in folders.
Exactly, and they're gonna be common, right?
Now I do. Oh yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off because I think Shrub Ninja, and I think you probably were about to say the same thing, Solix Cross, but pretty cool that like not super hard to override the bodies either, right? Like if we can, we can finagle it a little bit, we can turn the Aqua Quas weakness into maybe a different body to make it be a bit better, which we should definitely think about in the patch card format. The order in which you load your cards really matters.
I was literally about to say it right before Shrub and you said something, which is hilarious because I was going to be like, well, we can overwrite that, right? So the body here doesn't particularly matter. And when we look at the downside, which is normal gauge, that's not really a downside either. So we basically have a card here that gives you a charge shot for panel grab, an extra HP for 30 for a cheap cost of 12 MB with 0 downsides. So this is actually a really good card.
Oh yeah. And honestly, it's so funny because normal gauge literally is just starting off a normal battle.
Exactly, we start there. Yeah. So it really doesn't do anything. Now the thing is, the biggest downside is that it is panel grab charge shot, so it's not like a damaging or something that immediately pushes pressure in a way that you can take advantage right off the bat.
Yeah, not an aggressive charge shot.
Yeah, exactly. But however, this is a free panel grab that you get out of this charge shot, which can be oppressive in its own way. So I really want to put this in A tier. That's where I would put Slimey.
I think the exact same thing. Yeah, super strong altogether, like really efficient. You know, exactly as you said, not really any downsides. And even if the panel grab doesn't like deal that much damage, it's so oppressive. I mean, I can tell you too, like from first-hand experience, the charge shot is really fast. Like, I think this card would be more balanced if it were a slower charge, but under a slow gauge turn, you could pretty much grab like the entire area. And even if 10 isn't a lot, you can still pop anti-damage, which is kind of fun. Yeah, I think it's just great overall. And as long as you can mitigate that aqua body weakness, I think you got yourself a really, really strong card. All right, so next up is Volcano. He is only 10 megabytes, but he does give you fire body. He gives you charge max, right? Charge plus 4. And his charge shot turns into a black bomb, right? Which, if you guys are familiar, throws the bomb out. And then if you hit that with a fire move, I believe that's 250 damage to the opponent's side. And then his downside, which in my opinion is not really a downside, is giving you the emotion bug. It's actually just an upside, being able to tap into like the occasional double damage with full sync and anger. So yeah, what are your takes on Volcano, Soul Express?
Before I give you my take on that, I do want to go back real quick about the normal gauge downside, right? So what happens here is it starts the game off in normal gauge, but it doesn't necessarily mean you can't use the battle chip slow gauge or the fast gauge slow battle chip, right? You can still use those chips and they will take effect. But this is more so just telling you what the game's going to start off with. Some mod cards start you off with fast gauge and some mod cards start you off with slow gauge. If it comes into a situation where you and your opponent are both have fast or slow gauge as in your mod cards, what actually happens is it starts off in normal. Right, so that's how they clash.
Awesome.
Just wanted
that's
to put
great. Great clarification. Yeah, we saw that comment in chat, so that's amazing to clarify. But yeah, Volcano.
I had to like double check Wits out just to get that. But yeah, moving on with
for sure
with Volcano. Volcano is. I honestly feel like Volcano is one of the weaker chips on here. I think Charge 4 is interesting. The emotion bug is also interesting. But there's a mod card. I think you don't even have it listed here.
What do we got?
That's only 5 MB. It's called Shadow. It's only 5 MB. And it gives you emotion bug and status bug.
Okay, that's actually... Okay, if Shadow's not on there, that's pretty crazy, actually. I think maybe my editor got mixed up with the actual... Like the... No, we have it. We have the Nightmare.
Okay, we do have this Nightmare.
We do.
It's called Nightmare. There you go.
Yeah, because I did cut the actual Shadow, and maybe that's a hot take, and maybe we're kind of dipping too far ahead. Because in my opinion, it felt like the Mole was just better than the Shadow when it came to a charge attack that gives you invis. But anyway, we can talk about that later. But yeah, we do have the really cheap version to give you the emotion bug, thankfully.
So basically, this mod card, if you're playing this mod card, you're really playing it for the Black Bomb charge shot, and you're playing it for, I guess, Fire Body. Fire Body is one of the better bodies to have out of the elements, simply because there's less Aqua chips that can like really hard punish that. There are some really good ones though. There's Aquaman SP, which does see a tremendous amount of play just for that chance to punish Fire Body.
Yeah, especially in a world of Totem, I feel like
exactly.
I feel like that's pretty great. So yeah, I guess if I could chime in, I'm kind of with you. I feel like Volcano probably in the C tier. I think like Black Bomb, exactly as you said. Like, you know, it's nice to have the humor bug, but you know that's more of like a bonus. I think you would actively be wanting Black Bomb. I think if you want to run this build. And a Black Bomb still needs more setup, right? Because like your charge attack is the black bomb, but that means you still have to use fire chips because you don't have an easy way to like trigger it.
Unless your opponent has fire body, it will trigger if it hits.
Oh, that's so funny! If you actually lob it on top of them, it'll detonate on them for 250.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so niche. Funny. That is funny. Yeah, that's great. But I think C overall. That's kind of my take.
I have to agree on C on this one.
All right, let's go ahead and whip that out. And then our next one is going to be... Sorry, give me a second. All right, our next one up here is Flashy. He's 11 megabytes. He gives you HP plus 5%. Gives you a Lek body. And he fixes your custom screen HP bug. The downside is he's got attack -1 on him. So wondering what we think about this.
I have never personally used Flashy. Never seen anybody use Flashy, actually.
Yeah, it seems kind of... I don't know. Like, I guess you could maybe... Like, if you really want to get rid of the custom screen HP bug and you feel like 5% HP is great. But getting attack -1 is pretty rough in this format where, like, you really... Like, you're incentivized to stick attack like crazy. Yeah, it doesn't seem great. I don't really think that HP plus 5% is that impactful at the end of the day. Because even if you have, like, what, 2,000 HP, what, 5% of that's like 100? So I feel like there's better ways to get HP. And you could probably just run bug fix as a chip, you know, if you really are concerned about your HP bug.
Honestly, if this was a little bit cheaper and that attack -1 wasn't on there, I'd probably be like, okay, it's pretty niche. But I actually do think this is dropping to that F tier.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's super fair. I think the only reason I kept it on was the cheap cost in like maybe a world where the 5% is interesting. True. But I think for what it's worth, I think I would strongly agree. Like, C at the best, like not really anything crazy. All right, OldStove gives you fire body, HP plus 130. And it turns your charge shot into the fire burner, literally the chip, which does crack panels. It's a pretty quick charge time. It's 12 megabytes, and the downside is that you got an HP bug. My take on this is that not amazing. There are better ways to like crack panels and do holes, but like maybe having that with a cheap fire option is interesting. You get a decent chunk of HP too for the megabytes. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Soul?
Now, I would agree with you, but there are much better ways for cracking panels on your opponent's side of the field. We'll get into that later.
Agreed.
With not even charge shots, with just pressing your B button, you know?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. Right. The attractiveness is the 12 MB, so it's relatively low. But we also have to imagine a format where every man and his mother is gonna have access to air shoes or float shoes via these mod cards in the first place. Like, if you don't have shoes in your mod cards, or even at the very minimum your Navi cust, and mind you, it should always come in your
Navi cust, give you a choice. Oh, well, yeah. Well, if you want to replace like your downsides, right? If you want to override.
If you have the ability to put air shoes in your patch cards, that should, because it's such a huge, awkward piece to work with in the Navi cust, so you want to put better things in there, right? So you'll probably try to play Satella or something like that in your patch cards list.
No. Yeah. I think overall kind of weak.
Yeah, I would say overall kind of weak. Like, I don't even think this is niche. Like, yeah, you can punish the wood body users, but
probably better ways to do that, because you could literally just go into heat cross or charge cross to do it.
Yeah, play B bros.
Yeah, I think like I could see a world where it's C, but maybe F. You know, I'm not opposed to throwing it at F tier.
Yeah, I kind of like it in F.
Now, I do see a really interesting question from HXC in chat. They're asking, are there any patch cards that are more favorable to use on Gregar versus Falzar? And I wonder if Solex Cross, if you have any thoughts on that question before we keep moving on.
So the way I want to say this is, I want to say no. Now, it really depends on what your build is trying to do, but you can make patch cards work for both versions. For instance, there's a really interesting patch card build that you shared in one of your more recent videos. It was with Iceman, right? It allows you to freeze wobble, right? You can use your B button to butt down some ice panels, and then use the Aqua Cross Charge Shot to freeze them. That is a really great way to use that patch card. However, if you're playing Gregar, those ice panels are kind of nice. Think of this, right? You're in Slash Cross. You want to deny your opponent the center row. You put down a couple of ice panels on their side of the field. Now they can't touch the center row, and your Slash Cross can continue to do their charge shots unimpeded. You can't really stop it.
That's a fun thought. Yeah, that's a great thought.
So it's very flexible depending on how you make your build and what usage you get out of it, right?
Yeah. No, I would. I think that's great, and I think at the end of the day, well, there might be some patch cards that are maybe like a little easier to use with different versions. Like I think at the end of the day, like maybe Freezeman is still a little bit better. Or yeah, I think maybe still a little better with Aqua Cross, but like I think at the end of the day, like any patch card, if you build your folder around it, like you can optimize it for either version. Yeah,
exactly.
I think so.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree. Big agree with that.
I did see a question about uninstall, and yeah, uninstall is going to be in almost every person's folder in patch cards, especially, right? Because a lot of your damage is coming from the charge shots or your Buster Riders, right? So, well, Buster Riders are charge shots, but your Buster Bug builds, right? So you're going to see a lot of Buster Bug, you're going to see a lot of Charge Riders, and you're going to see a lot of Risky Honey in this format, right? And if it's not one of those three kind of builds, then it's going to be like Planetman or something like Dark Megaman, right? Yeah. So those are the kinds of builds you're going to see a lot of. So uninstall definitely is very helpful in that because you want to be able to remove super armor. That's removing super armor is so much more important in this format.
Yeah, right. And because air shoes are everywhere, if you actually want to try some like row lock tactics, you really need to hit with that super or with that uninstall too.
Yeah,
seems pretty important. Pretty bad to whiff your uninstall, right? If you throw it willy-nilly and you miss, that's not very good.
Yeah, but we'll talk about a little bit more about that a little later as we go on to the mod cards because there's some. I said mod cards. You see, I'm such an old head. We used to call these mod cards because there wasn't an official term for them.
Yeah.
So now
and they modified you.
Yeah, like it's crazy. But now it's officially known as patch cards. I gotta start saying that.
All the cool kid lingo, for sure. Well, next up on our list, we got OldStove. Gives you Fire Body, HP plus 130. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Kettle. My mistake. Stoves and Kettles look so similar to me. These viruses kill me sometimes. All right, we got Kettle. 15 megabytes. He does give you the back B shield. Gives you a chip recovery, not the most. Right? We know that chip recovery can be 40, even 30. This one's just chip recovery 20, but it's still chip recovery. It fixes your HP bug. And it turns your charge attack into literally the battle chip spreader. Which is not a powerful attack, but a very, very quick charge. And you can't always replace it, right? If you put, Kettle at the top, you could replace that charge shot with a different one if you so desire. And then I guess the downside is that you lose 40 HP every time you enter the custom screen. Any thoughts on Kettle, Solex Cross?
So Kettle's actually really interesting. I really like the spreader charge shot. I think it's pretty cool. The biggest takeaways from this is the bug fixing on HP bugs and the chip recovery for 20. But what's more important here is this card is trying to not give you a body, right? And not having elemental weakness is pretty good if you can afford to do that. Like, obviously, yeah, you can run Totem for the 40 HP recovery, or you can get 20 per chip and lose 40 HP for, what, there's a max of 15 rounds, so you do kind of miss out on a decent amount of HP. But you have more chips than that, right? So kind of just reduces it a little bit.
Yeah, and what you're saying is if you have no weakness, that's pretty powerful because they're really just downsides. It's not like you reduce damage if you get hit by the same element. It's strictly a downside. I mean, I guess wood bodies you heal or something, but even so, like for the most part, it's not great to have. So I think that's an interesting point, right? You can, with the Kettle, you can get a weaker chip recovery that's maybe balanced by the fact that you'll never get hit by a double damage.
Right.
And it gives you shield. And then the spreader is interesting, right? Because it doesn't flash the opponent. It's super quick to charge, so it's pretty easy to like. It's almost like Aqua Cross in a way, where like you can just spam it repeatedly. Try to pop anti-damage. I think it's pretty interesting. I don't know that it's great, but I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I think a C for this is pretty cool. Like, I'm a huge fan of playing Masterclass not with meta in mind, because when you get into meta builds, obviously it gets real sweaty. But then you can do stuff like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna run Kettle or like Yo-Yo Charge Shot, and this is perfect for that stuff. You know? Like there's more than one way to play the game.
Yeah, I think I could see it being a really low B, but I think I'm pretty comfortable with C. I think I'm comfortable with C for Kettle, because it's a pretty interesting one, I think, altogether. All right,
honestly,
next
I would give it low B. Sure, why not?
Let's do it. Why not? It's the little Kettle that could. He can maybe go the distance. And who knows? Maybe as we flesh out this list, we got a lot of B's and not so many C's, so we can tweak it a little bit too. But yeah, next up is Knightman. Now he is a pretty whopping 45 megabytes, but he does give you 20% HP. He doubles your attack Buster stats. So if you're at Buster 5 from your Navi Cust, he'll make you 10 instantly. Gives you super armor and undershirts. And then the downside is Buster Bug. Now, Buster Bug is not actually really a downside. That's pretty preferable to your regular P-Shot. The downside, in actuality, is that it won't be a level 3 Buster, right? Like, it's going to trump any, Buster Bugs that you have from your Navi Cust. So, you might not have the most efficient Buster Bug, but still, I would say overall it's an upside. I'm kind of curious what you think, Solex Cross, about Knightman.
This is just efficiency packed into one little bottle, you know what I mean? I actually really like this card. Knightman is pretty awesome. The bonus 20% HP is gargantuan. Double the attack. Super. Yeah, this is definitely good material.
In fact,
it's not the best.
Yeah, but a lot of good powers. And in fact, the more that I think about it, it just feels very Gregar in some ways, right? Like if you go a really tanky Gregar, obviously Gregar loves the attack. Although I guess the 10 attack won't matter for like your cross charges or your Beast Out Buster, but still, I think a lot of value, not the best, but still pretty cool. And I'm curious what you think. Where would you rank this one, Solex Cross?
100%. I would put this in A tier, like low A tier, high B tier. So right now I'm thinking low A.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the right read. Yeah, high B or low A, super reasonable. All right, next up is ColdBear. He is pretty interesting. Aqua Body, which we've discussed is not great, but we can always tweak it. HP plus 140. Now, the interesting thing about him is the charge attack, which spawns ice cubes, which are just obstacles, right? You can put up to 2 on the field at a time. They can block some attacks. You can push them with Wind Racks. You can suck them up with Dust Cross. And then you do get a panel bug, which is interesting in this case. It can basically spawn ice panels on your own side, which is not very good. There's not really a reason you would want ice panels on your own side, but, if you got float shoes, doesn't matter too much. What do you think about the old ColdBear, Solex Cross?
Now, ColdBear is really fun. I think this is a great build to have. Now, alongside ColdBear, what you usually would do is you'd put on Push Buster, so that way you can charge up, throw it down, and then P-Shot it, so you can just push it across the row, right? Which is what makes it really fun. Also, hypothetically, Aqua Body gives you the ability to move around on those ice panels.
Oh, true. So good point.
That's kind of what they want to go for here, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And that's kind of cool, because even if... I don't remember how much damage you get if you hit them with an ice cube. I'm going to guess 200? Kind of like the dust shot. I'm guessing they get hit for 200 if you do push it on them. But even just clogging up their back row is kind of interesting, right? You can, I think if the ice cube misses, it'll just stay in their back row. Yeah, which could be kind of interesting. Yeah, you can maybe you can throw out you can sort of limit their options for movements and maybe gunk up the board a bit. What's your overall take on ColdBear? I think kind of niche, but kind of interesting. I don't know. Hard for me to rate.
It's pretty niche, but it's another one of those really fun cards. I would throw it into C.
Yeah. What do you think? Over or under Volcano? I'm thinking over Volcano.
I would put it over Volcano because you could do a little bit more with ColdBear.
Yeah, a more fun build that has a little more versatility. I think that's pretty great. Okay, next up we got Miney. Okay, he is a simple card, all right? 12 megabytes, super cheap. Attack plus 3, no float shoes, no air shoes. I think this card's really strong. I think this card's very strong.
Immediate A tier.
Right? Just so good. And we've talked about this a lot. I think probably, I don't know about over under on the Slimer, but
I would put it over.
Right, just more use in general. I think more builds are going to be interested in running this. Now losing air shoes is bad, but as we've talked about, you can throw your air shoes, throw on a chip or a card that grants air shoes behind it, so you still get it. losing out on float shoes, that's not the end of the world. And attack +3 is just so good in this format, where you can just pump your buster beyond 5 just casually, right? So like, if you've already got your attack max or your P shots hitting for 8 right away, your buster bug can hit for 80. Just really powerful and super great for that cost too. 12 megabytes is so cheap.
Absolutely. And here's a little secret too. Despite the fact that this is mod card format, or excuse me, a patch card format, or EXE6 Masters, which is the real name for it, but you don't usually have float shoes, right? You have all these ways to get shoes, which is great, and some players might actually have float shoes in their Navi Cust if they get it, but not a lot of great mod cards give you float shoes. So they're kind of running around shoeless, which is why these panel changing types are kind of interesting, especially with the Iceman Buster, right? Because they'll still be slipping most of the time.
Good point.
Right? So the fact that this turns off float shoes isn't even really a big deal, right? Because you're not really looking for float shoes most of the time. You just want to be able to move over holes most of the time.
I like it. Yeah,
so
I like it.
It's a very good card. Very good card.
Super good card. Big agree. All right, next up is numbers. I've already made that super clear, but in case anyone watching this doesn't know it, it's custom +1, it's mega folder +1, and it's giga folder +1. For the low cost of 17 megabytes, it does make your charge shot default, but that's probably the dumbest downside in the entire format, because you're always going to have a charge shot if you put it below it. And then it does give you a custom screen bug, which is rough, but not even remotely rough enough to make this card bad. No, it's so good. The fact that it gives you the Giga, I think, is just insane. Like, that's actually insane. And you get a custom one,
It's not even just that, right? The default charge shot is broken. Now, you might not understand that when I just say that, so let me explain. There is a mod card called... Oh, I keep doing it. There's a patch card called Larkman. Now, what Larkman does, we're going to get into it a little bit more later, but what Larkman does is he allows your charge shot to 50% of the time break a chip of your opponent's
chips, right? Yeah.
With numbers, the default charge shot breaks it, and it 100% of the time will take away that chip.
Okay, this is a great interaction, because I know that there are some glitches with the Japanese version of BN6. I'm wondering if this is one that got patched with the Legacy Collections. I know there were some patches with patch cards that came out, but I wonder if that's still the case on the official hardware.
On the official hardware, on the Game Boy Advance hardware, 100% is still the case. I haven't tested it with Legacy Collection. I assume it would work the same way, because that was kind of... I can't even say if that was intentional, right? That's just kind of how it worked, and they've played it that way the whole time. I assume it works the same, but we'd have to test it out. Honestly.
Yeah, the only ones I know for sure got patched are like the invis, like your charge shot invis, not having busted interactions. I'm curious. In fact, if anyone in chat knows the right answer to that, that's great. But even that aside, right? Like, even if we totally ignore, fishing for like 100% Larkmans, I think numbers are just insane, right? I think we can all agree. Like, that's just like, the fact that you get a Giga is insane. You get an extra custom, extra mega, and the downsides are just they're just nothing, right? They're just not anything to talk about. So yeah,
I agree.
I think easy S tier. Love to see it. All right, next up is MagTech. This is going to be an elect body. Does give you float shoes. Okay, we talked about float shoes a little earlier. Not amazing, but cool. Now it makes your charge shot have a 50% chance of pulling the opponent in all the way to the front. And the downside is a little bit less HP, 5% less HP. Now, I've seen this MagTech do a lot of cool work in pushing and pulling builds with your Buster. I think it's pretty cool. I was kind of unimpressed by this card when I first saw it, but playing with it a lot more, I think it's actually pretty spicy. Kind of wondering what you think on this one, Soul.
Honestly, okay, so this is one of those rare cards that give you float shoes, which is already making it really solid. Now, that 50% pull isn't just applied to your charge shots, right? It's also applied to your buster pucks. So if you buster jam, that jam shot actually does have a percentage to pull and push as well, which is why you see a lot of like Buster Bug builds playing MagTech, because when you're forced forward or when you're pushed back, it interrupts charges because it's big push and little push effects happening on your character, right? So this is a way to control. This is kind of why it's hard to run just straight up charge riders and make that your win condition, because this effect will just interrupt your charge shots and give you a bad time. So you have to have another strategy around that, just in case you find this matchup, which is going to be pretty likely.
And it's a pretty cool one, because unlike Status Guard, you know, it's not like this can be easily shut down, right? You can just fish for your pushing and pulling, just like pretty effortlessly, which I think is kind of cool. And exactly as you said, it's not only just disruptive to pull them to the front, like it actually just interrupts like charges and other like attacks that could happen. Like I've seen Machine Gun just get completely invalidated when they get pulled forward. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, what would you, if you had to, you know, quantify that, what would you say?
High A tier.
Yeah, right? Just good. Like, you do have to build around it, but, like, it's just solid, right? It's just a really solid option. Actually, maybe you don't even have to. You know, you can obviously throw it with the BomBoy, which is coming up next. But even just the chance to disrupt the opponent for free is kind of interesting. And, as you said, Float Shoes, I think, is interesting, because there's not a lot of Float Shoes options, for the most part. But yeah, on the subject of the BomBoy, he is right up next. I love to see it. He gives your normal shot a 1 out of 8 chance to push them back 1 panel. And he also fixes your panel bugs and warp bugs. That's kind of fun. The downside is your charge shot addition is disabled, but as we all know, that's not a real downside. Throw it up at the very top, and then anything below it will you know, trump that. So yeah, what do you think about BomBoy? I think BomBoy, you definitely want to be pairing it with the MagTech, or maybe with the ColdBear, as we said, if you want to try and push those ice cubes around. I think there are some really cool uses for this chip, or sorry, for this card, and the bugs that it fixes are actually kind of like decent to fix too.
I think this is one of the cards I would definitely put in B, because unlike MagTech, it doesn't give you an extra ability like Float Shoes, right?
Yeah, and for 14 megabytes, it's nearly the same cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so, I like it. High B.
High B. Yeah.
Yeah, high B, you do have to build around it, but the builds are good. The builds are very good. And there's multiple ways to tweak it too, which is pretty cool. All right, next up is Starfish. Gives you Aqua Body. Gives you your charge shot a 50% chance to bubble. And believe it or not, there's no downside. There's actually just no downside whatsoever. What's your take?
Now, this is one of those, if you go ahead and use numbers, it will make that charge shot addition 100%. So your charge shot 100% bubbles at that point. And you can get some pretty crazy bubble locks if your opponent doesn't have status guard more on that later. But yeah, no, this is definitely a very, very deliberating chip if you get it off. I honestly think this is one of those S-code patch cards. It's just such a strong effect.
Now, would you still keep it an S? If the legacy, because I don't know for a fact, if the legacy did fix the 50% to 100%, would you still put it in an S even if it were 50% with your charge shots?
Actually, you know what? I don't think I would even put it in S. I think I would put it in A.
Yeah.
I think A is a better spot for it. But yeah, I would still keep it up there on A.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
Very strong effect.
Super good. Bubbles, right? You know, keeps them in place. And like they take double damage from electric, right? So it's like there's offensive uses, there's like disruptive uses. I don't know where to put him here though. I don't know that the order of the A's matter too much, but I think a pretty high A. I'll toss him here for now. All right, next up we've got our BigHat. Your charge shot becomes a flash bomb. He does turn off super armor. That's unfortunate, but he's only 8 megabytes. You know, you can pair him with other patch cards to get super armor back. And what do you think about just spamming a bunch of flash bombs, Solex, especially for 8 megabytes? What's your take?
I think it's really good. Honestly, it's not the best, obviously, but I think no downsides, because super armor is not really a downside. You can put super armor right after that, right? And
exactly.
Super armor.
Yeah, you wouldn't just jam it in a folder without another patch card to give you super armor back. That'd be
right.
That'd be risky. But yeah, I think flash bombs are really cool, right? Like they pierce invis, they stun the opponent. They can't be stopped, right? Like if you're and in this format with so many holes and so many ways to destroy panels.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's not as strong as it would be normally. But I still think like pretty darn good. And for only 8 megabytes, like that's like such a cheap new charge attack. I want to put it in like B tier. Maybe C. I don't know. I think like,
B good.
Yeah.
B tier's good.
Yeah, I think it can be tough. Like, you know, the opponent can step underneath the flash bomb or like have holes, but
Exactly.
for the cheap cost, right? The cheap cost of what you get, I think it's pretty cool. So let's try it in. Let's throw him in B tier. Now we've got ourselves a pretty interesting one with Scarecrow, 14 megabytes, Elect Body, your charge shot's Doll Thunder, which is pretty similar to the Elect Cross charge attack, and then gives you chip recovery 30, so the second best chip recovery. Right behind 40. And it does give you Buster Bug. Seems solid.
Honestly, this is that exact card I was talking about earlier that Aqua Body users have to be scared of, because this is a very heavily played mod card, or excuse me, patch card.
Yeah.
Now, the chip recovery 30 is amazing. It gives you Buster Bug. It gives you a powerful charge shot. It's just, it does everything you could possibly want. I think downside.
I'm gonna chime in too real quick too. I think having wood as a weakness is pretty negligible too for the most part. There's not so many.
Oh no, that's a big downside.
Ooh, let's hear about it.
It's called Risky Honey.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, so back B honeybees is ridiculous. If you get caught bustering against that, you're gonna take a lot of damage, and very often.
True.
And if they block your Doll Thunders with that hive, you can get punished pretty hard too.
Yeah.
So that alone kind of makes it scary to have Elect Body generally, but it's still really good.
Yeah. Okay, well, low S, high A. How would you differentiate that? Because altogether, the package seems really strong. If you can just be really careful with those honeybees.
Yeah, it's definitely high A. Just because B's, it's not going to stop it.
I like it. All right, next up, oh boy, we've got Planetman. Planetman is 40 megabytes, gives you wood body, 300 HP, status guard on. Your normal P buster shot becomes a crack shot for 60 damage. It destroys a panel in front of you too. Turns off air shoes. How would you describe Planetman?
Immediate high S tier. It is the best patch card in the game.
That is basically what I wanted to say. It's like it's extraordinarily powerful. In fact, it kind of invalidates a lot of other status guard options because I feel like the overall package is pretty phenomenal. Yeah, losing air shoes does suck. We all know to pair it with Satella or other cards that can give it back. And just like spamming the holes is so obnoxious, right? Like you can shut down, so many chips. Like poor Protoman's not going to hit you. If you uninstall their air shoes, like you can lock them in really unfortunate spots. Yeah, no, it's amazing. And 40 megabytes is a steal for the entire package. Right.
And once again, we can turn off the wood body, so it doesn't even matter. Air shoes, we can get that back. It doesn't even matter. These aren't even real downsides. Basically, This card says you get 300 HP status guard, so you get to fun police basically almost every deliberating chip or patch card in this format. Like everything is just turned off. And I guess this is a small downside. Your normal shot, crack shot being what it is, gives your opponent an opportunity to reactivate undershirt thanks to their access to chip heal, right? So basically, you're at this moment where your opponent's at 1 HP. You're trying to P button to get that last shot in, but you ran out of panels, right? You don't have any more panels to break. They're all broken already. So your opponent has that little bit of grace to just keep trying to use chips and trying to recover HP, right? So you get these really interesting scrambles that happen. But other than that, this is like a 10 out of 10 card. Like this is the best thing.
Yeah, it's extremely good. I love that that analysis you provided about undershirt too. I never stopped to consider, the upside of having your P shot, right? You can just spam it really quickly, but the crack is a little slower. And then obviously if they don't have a panel to destroy, they can't even fire it at you. So that's interesting. With chip recovery, it's probably hard to kill, but still. Overall amazing, right? Overall just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's just the best.
Yeah. Now, we've got ourselves Videoman. 32 megabytes. He makes it so that your charge shot has a 50% chance to throw those magnet panels, right? The ones that bring them forward. And then straight up fast gauge. You just start the battle off with fast gauge at the cost of 10% of your HP.
Yeah, this is an okay mod card. If you're trying to do sensor slide stuff, you're gonna like this, right? Because this does give your P-Shot the ability to randomly proc that too, right?
Yeah.
So you're really just throwing out P-Shots and charge shots, mixing it in everywhere you can to hopefully make those conveyor belts for you. And yeah, you can very easily just set your opponent up for sensor slide with this. It's very strong, very strong.
My question for you is, I'm sorry to chime in. How, like, if you go full in sensor slide in this format, how viable is that? Like, obviously the patch cards make it easier, but is it like pretty expected that you can actually pull it off if you go all in on this strat?
Well, it depends. Does your opponent know? That's the biggest thing, right? If you're playing open setups, which I feel like open setups should be generally done, but there are opportunities for you to run tournaments that aren't open setups, which does bring into a lot of different kind of complexities in its own right? But if it's an open format and your opponent sees these mod cards, or excuse me, these patch cards, and they see that you don't have you have a specific build to try and get sensor slide, they're gonna try to make sure they deny that as best as they can, right?
Yeah.
Which makes it harder. But
yeah,
when you sensor slide somebody, you sensor slide. They're done, right?
Yeah, they're done. No, and it's the biggest, style points flash dab you've ever seen. It feels pretty amazing.
GG, shake hands, bro. You got it.
Yeah. I do think giving you fast gauge is kind of interesting. I think slow gauge is pretty powerful in this format because of all the powerful buster shots that you get. But starting off with fast gauge is pretty interesting too. It seems niche. Like this is not a build you could just casually use, but interesting. I don't know. Like high B, does that seem interesting, or maybe mid B? I don't know. I don't really know where to rank the Videoman.
I think high B is really nice place for it, actually.
Yeah. Some cool options, and just like an overall like a really interesting build, which I think is kind of fun. I'm gonna throw it behind the boy bomb, but above the others. All right. Now we've got our Larkman. Which we did talk about a little earlier. So the air shoes are on and the beat is on, both of which are pretty like space heavy programs that are solid. Now I'm reading the list. It says the charge shot's got a 1 out of 8 chance to delete the opponent's next chip, which is pretty crazy. The buster, the downside is you got that damage bug where if you get knocked backward, it'll keep getting stronger. Now someone in chat seemed to confirm that they did patch that, at least in the Legacy Collection, they patched that interaction of turning the charge shots into 100%, which I think does limit the Larkman on the Legacy Collection. But if you're playing on GBA carts and you can make that 100%, that's like awful. That's like I'm awful for the opponent. Like that's pretty backbreaking. So I don't really know where to rate a card like this, where the difference between 1 out of 8 versus 100% of the time is like so massive.
There is actually a hidden. No one usually thinks about this unless you're like really high level. There's a hidden buff to this card specifically, and it has to do with that damage bug.
Okay.
Now the damage bug says when you're flinched or pushed, it causes confusion, right? Now, you might think, okay, you're confused, your buttons are reversed, it's problematic. Well, no. If you're a seasoned player, you know that you can just operate and play it normally. It's not that big, right? You can push the opposite side for buttons to move. That's fine. However, if your opponent removes your super armor with uninstall, which will happen very often, when you are flinched, you will be confused. Now, what that means is it overrides any CC ability on your character with confusion. So if you would be frozen instead,
you're saying it's almost like a status guard.
It's literally status guard. So
wow, that's fascinating. That is a big brain take, right? I would never have thought of that. That is a huge brain take.
It's so powerful. This card is actually like high A, low S for me.
Yeah,
because you can do a lot. It's status guard. If you uninstall me, I have status guard now. It has beat. It has air shoes on.
Yeah, the chip deletion's crazy.
It does a lot for this card. It's really good.
Now, I'd be super comfortable with S tier if we could still abuse the glitch for 100%. I feel weird when it's like 1 out of 8, but I think overall it's still so strong, right? I think even if you're not fishing all the time for those chip deletions, like everything else you said is so powerful. I think a low S is actually super reasonable. I think it's still super reasonable.
I think even with 100% chip deletion, I would still put it in like high A or mid A because it's a specific build, right? It's not that it does everything that Planetman and Numbers does. It doesn't do everything. Yeah. It's a specific build that you have to play. But it's a really good build. It's a really solid build, yeah.
Okay, well then I don't know where to put him up here in the A, but I'll throw him up really high. I think that seems pretty fair. All right, next up is Jelly.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I see a comment about spreader patch card over and going with Larkman. It doesn't work that way, right? So if you have a charge shot addition versus a charge shot, right? It's two different things. Your charge shot would be spreader at that point. It would not be spreader and Larkman. So the charge shot addition means that your regular charge shot is still going to just do fat damage, right? And it's going to have an added effect. Whereas you'll see, I don't know, let's think about not that. What's a good one here? Let's think about Kettle, right? It will say charge shot is finer burner because your charge shot becomes that. But a charge shot addition just adds that onto your regular P shot, right? So you can't do both at the same time, basically, is what I'm saying too.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's all replacements at the end of the day, right? Because it's like, yeah. Okay, awesome.
Could you imagine Larkman with spreader? Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's all. That'd be really scary because you could fish that charge shot. Yeah, you could spam that charge shot forever. Very scary. All right. Next up is Jelly. 13 megabytes. Gives you Aqua Body, HP plus 120, Charge Max at Charge plus 4. And you start up with Slow Gauge, which is not a downside. You would want to build around that. What's your take on Jelly?
Oh yeah, you would 100% play this in Buster Rider folders.
In fact, you would. I think you really want it for the Slow Gauge. Like that's you were playing this card for Slow Gauge, and you happen to get Charge Max and HP 120 like while you're at it.
Yeah, you'd play this with you would play this with the Daw Thunder mod card, or patch card, or with Slimey patch card. Like there's so many just great applications because all those patch cards that change your charge attack are still affected by Charge Plus. So you're probably going to want to add this on to make those effects better, right?
Yeah.
And build around it. Or you can just be playing Gregar good stuff and have Charge 4 and Slow Gauge, and now I'm just going to go like Cross Turn 1 or Slash Cross and do whatever I want. And Slow Gauge starting off is really good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking, I mean, honestly, I think it's an A tier. I think a lot of folders would really want this. Like not necessarily an A tier in terms of like, oh, overwhelming power, but just I think there are a lot of folders out there that really want to start with a Slow Gauge, and this is probably the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely build specific, I feel like, but it's like
a lot of builds, right?
Yeah, it can go into a lot of different builds. It's just really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna toss them somewhere over here, but I think overall really powerful. All right, next up is Satella. Wow, Satella is 8 megabytes, speed plus 4, so effectively speed max. Air shoes on, and you get a 20 HP custom bug every time you enter the custom menu. Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. If you want to elaborate for the folks at home,
so it's 8 megabytes, which is literally a tiny minuscule of a number because you get out of 80 megabytes, right? 80 megabytes to make your build. So 8 of that is only like 1. It's nothing. But it gives you the air shoes for free. And that's that's everything right there. That's all you need.
That's literally the whole reason to run it. And you got a cheeky little speed max, because why not? Yes. Like just little bonus on top, little cherry on the sundae.
Which actually matters, because most of the times you're playing Satella in Buster Rider folders that want to just mash their B button anyway, so Buster Bug is going to really want that speed.
Yeah. No, it's insane. Extremely good. A lot of builds run it. Very, very good. All right, next up is Twisty Remobit. 9 megabytes. You got a Lek Body, HP plus 80, and then your normal shot, your regular piece shot, has a 50% chance to crack panels. It does turn off air shoes, and it gives you a panel bug where you can leave holes as you move.
Now, this is interesting to hear because this patch card just allows you to just crack. It's just such a simple effect, but it's so powerful. Your B button gets rid of Sanctuary and Holy panels for free.
Yeah.
You don't have to invest in using Element Man or Panel Return or whatever you want to try to use to get rid of Sanctuary. This just, I pressed my B button, so now your panel cracked.
Yeah.
If I uninstall you and you're playing Gregar, you don't move anymore. Like, this is your life. This is how we are doing things.
Yeah. Well, and I think this might be jumping a little too far ahead, but I think this is like the best card to pair with base too, right? Where you got that triple buster that's not going to miss. And as you said, if they're stuck in a corner, you don't even have to face them. You could just keep spamming your buster all day. Like it's pretty debilitating. And at 9 megabytes, man, that's so cheap. Where do you rank it?
Honestly, easy S tier. Like, it's such a splashable patch card. You can put this in any build and just rock.
Love it. Yeah, at 9 megabytes too. I think that's like just insane. All right, next up is Octon, which I think is kind of interesting. It's 14 megabytes, gives you Aqua Body, HP plus 50, and Attack plus 3. Also gives you Buster Bug, which, as we said, is mostly an upside. It's only really a downside if you would try to have Buster level 3, I think, because it's not level 3. But still, pretty good. It's only 2 more megabytes than the Miney. But in exchange, you get HP plus 50. You don't turn off your air shoes. Gives you Buster Bug. I don't know. I think pretty similar to Miney. I think a little less good because I think the megabytes do matter. But overall, pretty good. I don't know. What's your take?
It does everything you want.
Right?
Like, it does more than Miney. It gives you the Buster Bug, right?
Right. And doesn't turn off the air shoes.
Yeah, 100% A tier. Right. I put it right above Miney, honestly.
I like it.
It's a really good card.
Yeah. I really think the only difference would be, like, if you wanted a level 3 Buster Bug. And even then, that's, like, splitting hairs, you know. That's not, like, that's not super crazy. But it's cool that both cards are viable because of the difference in their megabytes, so. Yeah, very cool. All right, next up is Magneaker. This is 7 megabytes. Elect Body, HP plus 30, pretty small. Your charge shot has a chance to make the backwards conveyor belt, so kind of the opposite of Videoman. And then it disables your normal shot additions, so like your Remobits or whatever. 7 megabytes is so cheap for this charge shot edition. I don't know. What's your take?
Honestly, this is way better than playing Videoman because of the low amount of MB that you have to put into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just really strong. Because
you have to ask yourself with Videoman, actually, this makes me rank Videoman even lower because, like, is having fast gauge worth, 25 extra megabytes or whatever? And I would think the answer is no. And even though the conveyor belt is different, it still matters for your sensor slide cheese, and it's still disruptive even without that. So yeah, I think it's just good. 7 megabytes, so small. I don't know that it's like, I don't know that every build really wants it. Maybe. I don't know where to rank this.
I would high B tier. Like,
yeah,
it's definitely better than Videoman because of the fact that it's just cheaper.
So much cheaper too. Not even like a little bit cheaper. Yeah. In fact, once again, it's making me. I'm like, man, Videoman, what you up to, man? All right. Now we've got Momogra, the little mole. 6 megabytes, so cheap. Gives you Rush. Always nice. It's only 2 blocks, but it's always nice. And it makes your charge shot invis. You got invisible for a decent chunk of time. And you lose 70 megabytes. Or so you lose 70 HP.
Yeah, this was actually banned in early patch card formats because there was a way to indefinitely... Well, not indefinitely, but extend...
But yeah, the bugs, way beyond like what's normal.
So it was banned for that because you could just charge that invisible and just be invisible for like more than half of a fast gauge turn, which is...
Now, yeah, so strong. Now, I'll chime in and say this too, because I posed this question to a lot of N1 Grand Prix mods and admins, because I was just kind of curious, right? Like, in this world of the Legacy Collection, where there's no glitch in that regard, and it's just a regular invis, like, how strong is it? And I got some mixed reactions. I had some folks thought it was very, very powerful, even without the bug. Some people thought it was just a little too weak. I'm kind of curious where you stand on that debate, Solex Cross. I can't really rate this card. I'm kind of... It's hard for me to know, in a world without the bug, how strong that really is.
Honestly, I still think this is a really powerful card. Charge Shot Invisible is so good. Now, think of it this, right? You're starting the game, and you have Volcano panels on your side of the field. Cool. I'm going to use my Charge Shot. I'm going to be pretty much invincible for a portion of this turn. Like, if it's normal gauge, about half, right? Now, right before this ends, I'm going to walk onto this Volcano panel, take 50 damage, and still extend the amount of time I'm invisible. Then I'm going to hold my B button again, and it should be the right amount of time for me to use my Charge Shot again. Right?
You're such a shadow style player in BN3. Well, that's such a I love it. That's such a magma panel. And actually, our magma, I guess. It's the Volcano panels, right? Those ones that shoot out the 50 in BN6. Yeah, that's funny that you can take advantage of that. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting, and it's for 6 megabytes, like, and it even gives you rush.
Cheap.
It even gives you rush. You know,
that's a lot. That's so much value.
Good. Yeah. I think I don't know how to.
I think A tier. I think this is an A tier card, 100%. Like this is
especially for the amount that it costs you, right? Like that's just so cheap. Okay, next up is Needler. Attack +1, speed +1, charge +1, super armor. It does fix emotion bug, which does suck, but I mean the rest of the package for 10 megabytes.
Yeah, the fixing emotion bug is kind of like supposed to be an upside, but it's really a downside.
It's a downside.
That isn't a downside either, because you could just put the emotion bug after it again.
Exactly.
So you're always gonna get that.
Yeah.
This is an easy A tier. Like the Needler just does everything. Super armor and those nice little. So okay, what happens with Buster Bug builds? If you're really trying to nickel and dime your value, you'll end up using not things like Knightman, right? Because Knightman just costs a lot. You'll be using like Needler and Octon, and then like here and there a couple of like cards that give you the push and pull. So like you're nickel and diming those really low cost MBs, so that way you can get attack 10 really quickly, and still be able to get value out of patch cards, right? So this would definitely be in that kind of build because you get the super armor on top of those stats, so it's faster to that attack 10 build that you need, right?
Yeah.
So this card's great.
Altogether very good. I actually, I mean, I don't know if this is too crazy. I think there's an argument for a low S tier. But like I think A is super comfortable. I think for what like it's because it's not like the stats are so busted, but getting that super armor as a patch card is pretty valuable. I think this is probably the best card that enables super armor, which is pretty great. But yeah, I think I'll put it in really high A tier because I think there's a lot of builds that are really hungry for this effect, and super armor is just so good to have, like all things considered. So yeah. All right, so twins. This is 15 megabytes. HP +100, attack +1, which is nice, right? We all know going beyond 5 is really great. Chip recovery is 20, so not the most, but not the least. And then yeah, disables your charge shot is the downside.
Low B.
I feel like Twins is pretty similar to that Kettle, right? Where it's like it's a chip recovery that's not gonna give you a body, and then it's up to you to decide if HP +100 as well as attack +1 is better than the spreader and the shield package that you get from the Kettler. In fact, what would you say if you, in the vacuum? What would you say between if you had to rank Twins versus the Kettle? What would you say?
I think Twins goes over Kettle simply because you're not taking damage over time, and it's just,
true.
You get the bonus 100 and attack +1, so like I just feel like it outvalues the Kettle.
Yeah, because attack +1 is so good in a patch card where you could just, if you really wanted a shield, you could throw in a shield in your Navi custom, use Hub Batch or something. Yeah, I like it. All right, next up is Walla. 12 megabytes, pretty cheap. Custom +1, HP +60, and it disables your first barrier or first anything.
Yeah, easy A. Like there's a lot of really good A chips, and this is one of them. This is a free custom +1 that you don't have to put in your Navicus. Like you can't get more value. Like it's just so good.
No, it's solid. I know a lot of builds really, like, with their extra megabytes, like, this is such a great card to throw in there. Like, you're not going to start with Custom 1, right? That's not the most, like, you know, jaw-dropping ability you get, but if you're looking to round out a package, I think you can do a lot worse than the Walrus. He's super strong. I think he's really solid. I don't know where to throw him. I feel like you would prefer attack 3 if given the choice between 12, but I think, I don't know, we're splitting hairs with A. A is full of great ones. I don't think it's kind of a futile game ranking the A's amongst each other.
Ranking them directly is kind of hard. Like,
yeah,
I would say, like, Larkman is, like, toppest of A at the moment, but, like, other than that, it's kind of like, these are all great.
Yeah, all super good. All right, next up is Killby. He's a little lance guy. Gives you wood body. Turns your charge shot into the battle chip lance. It does give you status guard. A pretty dramatic loss of HP. 20% is a good amount to lose. And there's a chance as you move around that you spawn grass panels.
Yeah.
So this is weird. This is weird because this is, like, I think the cheapest status guard option. Like, it's just strictly with megabytes. But I think you may as well spring for 16 more and just run your Planetman. It's hard to... You know what I mean? I don't know what 16 megabyte card you're pairing with this that's overall better than Planetman. You know? That's because, like, Planetman gives you HP. This makes you lose HP. You know, Charge Shot Lance is cool, but, like, if they're not in the back row, that's not doing anything. The grass panels, like, I don't know. I threw it up here because it's a cheap status guard, but in all honesty, I just don't see a world where you're like, you know, you would run this over just using Planetman. I think it's worth the space of Planetman. So I don't know.
I don't think this is a very, like, yeah, you get the status guard here, but it's kind of expensive for a charge shot lance.
Yeah.
It's already really hard enough to, like, push your opponent to that back row without, like, charge shot wind rack or something like that. In this format specifically, too.
Yeah,
and plus, then on top of that,
you lose a ton of HP. Like,
yeah, you lose a ton of HP, and then you're making grass panels, and fire chips are scary in this format. So you're giving your opponent the chance to double attack you for no effort, right? And, yeah, I don't like.
Are we looking at C or F here?
I think we're looking at C, because it's still status guard at the end of the day, and if you're having fun just to have fun, then Charge Shot Lance might be cool, you know?
That's very true. Alright, let's go do it then. We'll throw them in C. It's funny how this works out, because it's like, some packages like Planetman are just so efficient for what they are, that it's like, even a cheaper option, you know, it just doesn't look as appealing as just using actual Planetman. Alright, well, we got Totem. S2. Like, we don't even gotta talk about this shit. No, we don't. The fact that he gives you the most chip recovery is crazy, and the fact that, like, you also just get an extra mega chip. Like, what? Yeah. Like, that's not nothing.
Mega chip.
That's not nothing.
Healing, fire body, which is actually the best body. A lot of times you'll see this card on the bottom of most builds just to get that fire body compared to the other bodies. It's just it has everything.
So good. So good. Alright, now we got Gunner. Gunner's 11 megabytes, 70 extra HP. There is no undershirt, which actually kind of sucks, but because there's not so many undershirt granting cards, but whatever. Your charge shot is machine gun, straight up. Really quick charge as well. What's your take on Gunner?
This is one of those, if you build around it, it can be good because your charge shot always takes out traps, right? That's your charge shot doing that. It's really solid. Really solid.
Yeah.
So having a build around of, like, not having to worry about your opponent sending up anti-navi to stop your navi or anti-sword, like you just beat all that for free with your charge shot, and that makes it really valuable. You also decross the dust for free with your charge shot, which is
solid.
Really valuable.
Without costing chips or anything. And honestly, the charge shot is very fast. Like, it's a pretty quick. And heaven forbid you want to install them, like, you can just get them into really high damage, like flinching, flinching loops, which is pretty cool.
I think high B tier or like low B tier is like low A tier is really good for this. I think high B tier more than anything.
I like high B as well. I think high B seems pretty good to me. So let's go ahead and do that. Next up is the PulseBulb. I don't know where to throw him. I'm going to throw him here, I think. Next up is PulseBulb. Elect body. Turns your charge shot into a Elect Pulse, straight up. And it gives you a Motion Bug for 13 megabytes.
Yeah. A tier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Elect Pulse is a battleship that just pierces Invis and paralyzes. That's what this is doing. So, with one area grab, you threaten pretty much the majority of their board. Depending on how you play your footsies, you can pretty much nail them whenever. They can't go into Invis to avoid your charge shot. They have to play that footsie game. And then you have a motion bug on top of that.
I know. The fact that that's the quote unquote downside is pretty wild. And in fact, it makes poor cards like Volcano seem even worse, where it's like, you know, if you're looking to change your charge shot and get Emotion Bug together, it's pretty hard to beat the Elect Pulse, I think. Yes, paralyzing plus Invis piercing is crazy, really crazy. All right, next up is HoneyBomber, which we have talked about earlier. Air shoes on, amazing. Back B, your sort of like defensive option is Risky Honey, at the cost of 10% HP and Wood Buddy.
So this is gonna be like low S for me because, and it's not necessarily because it's amazing, which it is. It is an amazing patch card, but so many people play. I'm gonna press my B button until I get the jam charge shot attack, and I'm gonna do 100 with it, and I'm just gonna keep pressing my B button. And every time I press my B button, I'm gonna do more damage, and I'm gonna just delete your Navi now.
Yeah.
But when you have HoneyBomber, they're like, I didn't see HoneyBomber come out. Should I be pressing my B button right now? I don't know if I want to press my B button. I think I'm just gonna use a chip.
Yeah, even just the sheer mind games of it, right? Like even if you never, like if you just throw it out a few times, the opponent has to respect it at every angle. And so it's interesting, right? Because like normally the back Bs, like they're great if you can pull them off, but normally like in regular Battle Network 6, unless you're playing Shield or getting it for free with Hub Batch, they're really like janky setups. Like they're kind of hard to squeeze in your Navi costs. So you really limit yourself a lot in running them. Where this is like Air Shoes is phenomenal, especially as a patch card, because there's so many patch cards like Planetman that, you know, want to mitigate that. So it's like, it's already so good with the Air Shoes. Then the fact that your back B is like a really offensive, option that punishes the attacks, is defensive on your end, and hits for wood damage. Like, what?
No, it's great.
Crazy.
It's great.
Crazy.
How dare you have a leg body? Here, take some beast.
Yeah, that's rough. No, that's rough. I like it.
It's really sad because like Risky Honey the chip is supposed to be this amazing chip, but out of all of the things they didn't patch and fix in the Legacy collection, this is one of those that they didn't. Right?
With the anti-damage. Like,
why, bro? Just why?
I know. And to think they did these other fixes and didn't do that, it's a shame for sure. That being said, we are talking about Nightmare, which we did mention way earlier. Thank goodness it's on my list. I've regained my credibility. It's 5 megabytes. Gives you 20 extra HP. Very small. However, it does give you the Emotion Bug, the Humor Bug, and it also gives you a Color Bug, level 1.
So you just told me that this has no downsides.
Exactly.
And it costs 5?
The cheapest amount, yeah.
So
the absolute cheapest amount. The absolute cheapest amount, right? If you care about having that, right? It's just so good. And 5 megabytes, I think that's actually the lowest amount. I think it doesn't get lower than that.
No,
actually, let me move it a little bit.
Value. Yeah, color. So for those who don't know, Color Bug is the bug that you have in your Navi cust when it goes over the amount of colors you can have. So usually the normal amount of colors you can have in your Navi cust is 4. But if you have 5 different colors in your Navi cust, or 6 different colors in your Navi cust, an effect happens. One of 4 effects happens. You're either starting the game confused, blinded, or you have green invincibility, which cannot be pierced by anything in the game.
Yeah.
Except by anti-recovery, which is pretty funny.
That is funny.
Or you have invisibility, right? So you just get one of those 4 at random. If you have 5 colors, it's for 5 seconds. But if you have 6 colors, it's 10 seconds of that. This gives you the 5-second version of that. So you have one of those 4 for 5 seconds at the start of every game, which is really, really good. Especially if you get the green invincibility, because now I can just eat whatever attacks and bait your rush for free. It's For free, bro. And you know, anytime you say for free, I want it, bro. Like,
Right?
that's fine.
That's max efficiency. And then we all know Humor Bug is just amazing, right? It's like, that's like such a... It's just, that's free damage, right? That's like every now and then you're just going to do double damage.
For Smash players out there who play like... They play that hero character, right? This is basically a crit. This is a crit. Like, Emotion Bug is just your crit.
Yeah, so good. All right, next up is SnakeArm. Now this is 11 megabytes, so the cheapest of the attack raising options. It does give you attack +3. It turns your charge shot into a sandworm, which does 130 damage, and it kind of breaks through stuff. It's not it's a pseudo breaking attack, which of course you can always override if you're not a fan of it. It does give you speed -1 and charge -1. What's your take on this, Solo?
Now, I know this might sound crazy, but this is kind of like a B tier patch card. And it's not even because of the charge shot. It's because of that attack +3.
Yeah.
And it's 11 MB. So it's cheaper than Miney, and you still get the attack +3. And it's that much value. The speed and charge are kind of negligent when your entire game plan is smashing your B button anyway. You're not really trying to hold that B button. So the charge is irrelevant. And speed, if you have Satella, you basically have max speed anyway. So it's like whatever.
True. Very true. I like it. And yeah, I think there are times where like you might actually just want the sandworm as your charge shot. I don't know. It seems okay. There's definitely stronger charge shots, but you know, the fact that it's only 11 is pretty phenomenal. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, between those three attack raising cards, it really comes down to like how much space do you have? Are you know, can you balance out the downsides? Can you how easily can you mitigate the downsides? I think is probably the best way to think of them. It's cool that they're all viable. That's cool they're all viable. All right, next up is DarkMech. 22 megabytes. He gives you 10% HP. He makes your back B into the Machine Sword chip. If you don't know, the Machine Sword chip deals 200 damage if they are paralyzed. And it also gives you an HP bug, level 2.
Now, DarkMech is definitely going to go in like maybe low B tier or high C tier.
I was thinking high C, yeah.
I think high C because it has a really, really fun build. If you run the patch card that gives you charge shot elect ball, a thunderball, you can throw out a thunderball, paralyze your opponent, and then be left for machine sword. So it's like a cool little synergy there.
Or even like bug death thunder or something, right? Like it's not too hard to spam crazy stuff.
Exactly. So you're doing 400 on those trades.
And I think C is a good spot for it because I think status guard is just like it just shuts you down completely. Like there's no recourse because you can't even uninstall a status guard. So I think C is a pretty good spot for it. I think it can work, but yeah, definitely not the best in that way. Really cool if you can though. I think a really rewarding feeling if you can pull it off. All right, next up is Pharoahman. He's 35 megabytes. He gives you float shoes. He gives you Giga Folder 1 and HP plus 5%. And then the downside is the default charge shot, which we've all talked about. Not really a downside. What do you think about Pharoahman?
Unfortunately, he's an F tier for me.
F tier?
I know, yeah. It gives you float shoes, it gives you Giga Folder plus 1, and HP plus 5%. But it's the size. It's the MB size, dude. That's too much value. Like, conversely, I can just run numbers and get a Giga plus 1 and better stats, right? Like, HP kind of 5% doesn't matter. It's so negligible.
Yeah, pretty small. And then float shoes isn't like that amazing at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is just one of those cards I feel like you shouldn't run because there's just other cards that do it better. Like
now, could you see a world? I had a similar thought, and my thought was this: could you see a world where you would stack numbers and Pharoahman? Obviously, numbers is just better than Pharoahman, but like, could you see a world where it's worth it? Or at that point, do you think it's better to just throw Giga Folder 1 in your Navi Cust and be like, I'm gonna save a bunch of megabytes?
Yeah, sure. If you really want to go ahead and do that, that's fine. Like, you get double Giga out of that value, so why not? Go for it. I mean, you still have the most powerful, like, one of the best Gigas in the game in Hub Batch if you run it alongside Pharoahman, so you're going to get those extra stats back anyway if you play that card, right? Yeah. So, it's fine. Like, you can definitely do that, but I just don't... Like, if you're trying to enter a really high-level tournament
Yeah.
Are you really banking on Giga +1 from Pharoahman of all things, right? Like,
yeah, no, that's a super fair point, because at the end of the day, it's not even so much like what you gain from Pharoahman, it's what you're leaving off the table, right? Because Pharoahman, I think like the best stuff you can do in patch cards is like going way beyond your attack level, you know, having super strong charge attacks, having super strong, you know, effects with them. And a extra Giga chip is nice, but like, is it really worth 35 megabytes? Even with numbers, probably not, right? Because if you run numbers and Pharoahman together, that's like what? That's like 52 megabytes or something. Like that's so much of your space. That's just, you know, just kind of on chips and not really like the super strong stuff. Man, I would love to put it at like low C, but I could live with F. I think like just a little bit too expensive at the end of the day for what it does. Just a little bit too expensive. All right, so how about Freezeman? For 30 megabytes, you get Aqua Body. Your normal shot has a 50% chance to Ice Panel. You get First Barrier, and the downside is 5% less HP.
as I said before, there's just a good amount of flexibility for both versions for this card.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can do the wobbling ice. It's such a busted combo, but it's so like easy to stop it because all you have to do is decross Aqua Cross, right? Which isn't necessarily the hardest thing to do in the world. So I want to say this is good. You can build around it and have a solid folder around this. But if your opponent is playing Planetman, like, what do you do?
Yeah, I guess you hope that the slipping of ice panels means something, and that's not guaranteed. In fact, they can just get rid of the ice panels with their P shot. So it's right. It's like it's pretty rough. I do think in his defense, I think the first barrier 200 is kind of interesting because like the opponent definitely has to use a Wind Chip or Tengu like right away. And I've noticed in patch cards, like crosses are really like on the back burner because like your charge attacks are so good that a lot of builds like just really desperately want to stay baseline Mega Man forever. So I think it's like kind of interesting like forcing them into that position. And then like in Magical Christmas Land, you're spamming your freezes, you're spamming your ice panels. I think it's really good. There's definitely ways around it. It's not some unbeatable crazy card, but I like it a lot. I think Freezeman is super cool. And 30 megabytes is pretty cheap. Like all things considered, right? Like poor Pharoahman, right? He's paying 35 for what he's doing. And it's like he's not impacting, your Buster build at all. Or
he's
really
rid of sanctuary panels or
exactly.
panels.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's not at all. So I think high A. Like I don't know, maybe mid A.
I think high to mid A is perfectly fine. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot for Freezeman.
I was flirting like with this concept in my head of like just spamming like going some crazy barrier build where it's like you have your life orb, your barrier 200, your first barrier 200. It's like how like can you sort of can you catch the opponent off guard if they don't have all the Wind Chips? I think there's like a fun idea. Well, maybe not fun, but I think there's like some interesting ideas there. And even at the end of the day, like the freezing tactics and the freeze panels are just so cool.
I do find it interesting that you talk about crosses as back burner. When I think it's the opposite. Like they very much increase your playability, right? Because these are resources. And when you start looking at these as resources as opposed to like things that you build around, they just have so much more utility for Mega Man, right? Especially when you're playing Falzar. And if you're playing Gregar, you might think, oh, I like this Dull Thunder Charge Shot. But sometimes you just gotta go slash cross, dude. I
was actually about to say that, yeah. Where I feel like in fact that's something that I have to get better at as I play with patch cards, right? Because I love being in regular Mega Man and spamming whatever powerful charge attack I have, but sometimes slash is just brutal. Like sometimes getting into a race beast and doing your tail attacks like is great. So there's definitely there's a lot of nuance there. I think also, I guess. Oh, sorry. What's up?
Also, if you're playing Dull Thunder Charge Shot with that patch card, and you want to go back to that charge shot, for Gregar, there's an easy way to do that. It's just called clicking Elect Cross. So,
so true.
It's actually a little bit stronger too, right?
So true.
So, like, It's just another way to play. It's really interesting. And if you
Yeah.
get decrossed, well, guess what? You got your Dolph Thunder charge shot back, so we're still here.
Amazing. Love to see it. Cool. I like it. All right. So next up, we've got Planetman. He's 42 megabytes. He is wood body. He makes your charge attack have a 50% chance to grass panel. Mega Folder +2 and status guard. The cost of -80. Now I think he's unfortunate because, like, once again, we're always comparing status guard to Planetman. I don't know that Mega Folder +2 or spamming grass panels is that amazing. It's pretty good. Is it better than Planetman? Probably not. But do we think that spamming grass panels for double damage fire or 2 extra megabytes or 2 extra mega chips is a worthwhile addition?
Oh, can you scroll up a little bit so that way we can see S tier?
Absolutely. Give me just a second.
But Planetman's not good, dude. Like,
Yeah. Right.
When you just compare it to, it's 2 extra MB for slightly worse stats. Like, the extra 300 HP matters. Being able to crack out those panels when you're playing against somebody who wants to make conveyor belts, it matters. Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like Planetman is just one of those that you should probably stay away from. I think it's worse than the Killby.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I think there's a world without Planetman where, like, he's a little more interesting because I think the Mega Folder 2 is kind of cool, and, like, you know, spamming grass panels, that's not the strongest thing you can do, but, like, I don't know, it's interesting. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, the package is just not.
You can get the Mega Folder from other cards, obviously.
Like
but
numbers.
You can get not necessarily status card, but you can get Charge Shot Edition for grass panel on another card, which is Shrubby. Oh, we don't have Shrubby.
Yeah, Shrubby should be on there. Yeah, Shrubby should be here for sure.
He's
definitely
yeah,
he's a grass.
So good.
Yeah, spamming. He's like 7 megabytes or something. Yeah, that was a total oversight. I agree. Shrubby's awesome.
I didn't think of it until just now. So yeah.
No, I'll have to. We'll add it. We'll add it in post.
yeah.
But yeah, where would you rank Planetman at the end of the day?
See, because you can do some fun stuff with him, but he's not
just outclassed,
He's not
right?
awful. He's not Pharoahman.
Yeah, and I think I'd be so much more into him if there weren't the existence of Planetman. Yeah. I'd be a lot more interested. All right, next up is actually a mistake once again. This is my infallible list. This Mistman is supposed to be Dark Megaman. That was a total mistake. Because you can see I don't have Dark Megaman on the list. Yeah. So let's just pretend he's Dark Megaman. We'll fix him in post.
Agree.
Yeah, we'll fix this in post as well. So yeah, we'll pretend it's Dark Megaman, which gives you the entire 80 megabytes right away. Just if you want to use Dark Megaman, that's the cost of business. He gives you attack +3. He makes your P shot have a 50% chance to poison panel. Your charge attack is actual Dark Sword, which is a true 400 damage Life Sword attack, with the same range as Life Sword. And his quote-unquote downsides are the fact that he gives you Emotion Bug, and actually I don't know what his second one is off the top of my head, but yeah, you got some interesting quote-unquote downsides with them. But yeah, what would you say about Dark Megaman?
So Dark Megaman is a really, really powerful card to have. You don't have Chip Heal, which is unfortunate, but kind of necessary. And you don't have Status Guard with this, so you are very vulnerable to any cheese that the opponent wants to throw at you. But that trade-off for a charge shot that does 400 damage is not to be scoffed at. I can also get rid of your holy panels with these poison panels for extra tick damage. You cannot.
And your P shot's 8 damage, which is kind of cool, right? He even gives you a little attack 3, and he gives you Emotion Bug, which is crazy.
Yeah. all that adds up to be something that's quite fearsome. Now the problem here is, if your opponent understands your win con, which is to charge up your charge shot, he's going to deny it. He or she is going to deny it hard, right? So how is that denied? Well, a Wind Rack charge shot will deny that. If I remove your super armor, then my crack shot will deny that. If I have push and pull, well, I'm gonna mash my B button to just give you a very bad time.
Interrupt
so
it.
Anything that interrupts your charge shot is gonna make it really tough to use Dark Megaman. So as long as you understand that, that's a massive weakness. But as long as you understand how to play around that, he can be so oppressive. Because it's just 400. You can run a folder with just 5 copies of panel grab and 5 copies of area grab.
I was actually about to say that. I love the way you think, Soul, because I feel like you can just... It's almost like Bug Death Thunder, right? Where it's like your charge attack is just your win con. So you can fill up your folder with support, right? You can go all in on the grabs, and you probably want to, because you really don't want to be denied, you know, the row control, the zone control to stop your charges. You know, you play your grab banishes, right? You play, you know, maybe a full set of Judgment. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the full build looks like, but it's cool that having such a powerful charge shot also means you can run full support. Now, we got a good question from Fuse Hunter in the chat. Is the overall Dark Mega Man package worth 80 megabytes? What would you say, Soul?
If it had any less, it would be broken.
True.
It had to be 80.
True.
Imagine if it was 5 less and you were, or 6 less. Let's say 6 less, and you were able to throw on, I don't know, anything that gave you extra attack, right? Like if it was 10 less, if it was only 7,
10
that means I can throw on some. It's not, it had to be 80.
Now what do you think? Where do we throw Dark Mega?
Honestly, because of the ability to play around it, I put it above Larkman.
Yeah, so really high A tier.
Really high A tier, because if you're not prepared for this, you're not prepared for mod cards or patch card format. True.
Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw Mistman an F, and I'm going to add Dark Mega to high A at the end of all this. That's what I'm going to do. Because I don't know that I can remove images from the tier list, so I'm going to have to add it in. I don't want people to think Mistman is good. Unless you think Mistman is better than F tier. I don't know. Mistman is like... I feel like you may as well run Dark Mega if all you care about is poison panel spam. So, yeah, that's kind of my tick. All right, anyway. Now we got Coldman. And actually, I'm going to chime in one last thing with Dark Mega. I think it's actually really great that, like, an 80 megabyte one-and-done patch card is viable and powerful. I love that because I think he's a really great entry to the format. If you're a new player and you're, like, overwhelmed by the sheer number of options, it's like... Boom, just slam that Dark Mega, build your folder around it, like, call it a day. I think that's really nice. And it's not even like you're giving up, you know, a ton of equity there either. So, anyway, that aside, Coldman's up. Aqua Body, Charge Shot Edition, 50% chance to freeze. Does give you a -1 attack, and it makes your movement have a chance to spawn ice panels. What is your take on the 34 megabyte Coldman?
Oh, this is Value Town. So... Coldman says, my charge shot can freeze you. But what that also means is, my P shot that's buster bugged can freeze you. So if I'm smashing my B button and you get frozen, well, I guess I can just smash my B button some more. Oh, you're frozen again. Oh, well. I guess I'll just smash my B.
It's so worth noting that. That's like one of my favorite clips. I've been showing it. I made 2 patch card videos. I couldn't resist putting that clip in. Where I got rocked by somebody who got a little lucky with his buster bugs, right? Because you can just keep reapplying freeze. That's like the silliness of it. It's not like bubble, right? One attack and you're gonna get popped out of the bubble. Or stun. I guess stun stun you stay stunned, but but it's like harder to keep spamming it, right? Because there's no like there's no stun buster. Well, freeze buster, you just spam it like crazy. You can deal a ton of damage. They're stuck in spots. Then like maybe every now and then you do double damage with your breaking chips, like. I mean, the only thing stopping this from S tier, maybe it even is, I don't know. But the only, like, Planetman is just, like, gonna just totally chump on this strategy.
Yeah.
But it's still really powerful. And heaven forbid the opponent doesn't have status guard. Like, that's pretty rough.
Yeah. It's because of Planetman that it's high A tier and it's not S tier. Because without, you see, a lot of people hate Planetman. But
he stops the cheese. He stops that cheese, right?
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, you have to have a gatekeeper for all the cheese. Or else this format would just be cheese all the time. And I don't know if people really want that. Like, we hate to see Planetman, but we also... He's Batman, bro. He's not the hero we wanted, but it's the one we got, bro. Like, that's who he is, bro. We need him 100%. Like...
Planetman is
no other way
Batman
to say
confirmed. No, he's it. That's just him, straight up. That's just him.
Straight up, bro.
All right, next up, kind of a fun option is Searchman. He's 5% HP. Gives you Chip Shuffle, which is a massive Navi customizer program if you ever wanted to install it yourself. Turns your charge shot into circle gun. Kind of a slow charge, but does pierce, the traps like anti-damage, and turns off the air shoes.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be like high A tier again. I almost want to put it in S, but no, it has to be high A tier. I think this is one of those, okay, you can play this in Falzar or Gregar, no problem, easy peasy, because it just does so much for you. Obviously, you combo it with Satella for great value. It just does everything you can possibly want it to do, and it succeeds very well at it, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting for me is if you play this in Gregar, the way the charge shot circle gun works is it forces your opponent to camp a specific panel in order to avoid it. So that panel usually is the one dead in the middle, right? So what is a really good battleship that can do a lot of damage if your opponent is standing specifically in that middle?
Justice 1, right?
Justice 1 is a good call, but it's not the one I'm thinking of. It's a
What are you
Giga chip called... Oh, Big Hook is kind of good too. But I'm thinking Delta Ray Edge. Right? So if you catch your opponent lacking, right, they're trying to dodge your... Yeah, they're trying to dodge
Oh, that's
your
amazing.
You hit them with a Delta Ray, they don't feel so nice. If they're entangled, they really don't feel so nice.
They're just, yeah, wow. I love that, because sometimes I forget Delta Ray's a chip, like, just completely. It's just out of my mind. That's fun to think that, like, you can take advantage of your buster to put them in that position. And, like, the other cool thing about Gregar with Searchman, I said this in that video I did, but I feel like Falzar has Dust Cross to, like, dig. Gregar doesn't really have that option, so it's kind of cool that you can get, like, some sort of, hand smoothing option in that. So I think pretty cool overall. I think kind of a fun build for Gregar, but also Falzar too, if you really wanted it.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, love it. All right.
It's great for Falzar too, because you don't have to go Dust.
True. Yeah, you can preserve your regular slots. All right, next up is Gridman. A whopping 48. That's a lot of megabytes. But he does give you 25% HP. That is pretty big. Gives you super armor. That's awesome. Undershirt. That's one Navi cut spot, but whatever. We'll take it. But also gives you slow gauge. Now, I'll be honest with you. The more that I'm thinking about it, I think I liked Gridman a lot more before I thought about Jelly giving you slow gauge for 13 megabytes. Because it's like, if you subtract 48 from 13, you're left with 35 megabytes. And is that worth 25% HP, super armor, and undershirt? I would say probably not.
Especially since super armor and undershirt are such easy pieces to build with in your Navicus.
Yeah.
And even if you really want it in your patch cards, you have Needler. You have other patch cards that are
super cheap to get those options. Yeah, I actually think he's kind of bad. It's funny. I liked him a lot more where I was like, oh, slow gauge. Like, that's valuable. But I think Jelly's just a lot better. I think Jelly is 13 megabytes with a slow gauge. So I don't know. I don't know where, like, C, F? Where would you put Gridman?
Honestly, I would put him in like C tier, like low C tier. Especially since if you really want that slow gauge, you can play Slimey. You don't have to use the panel grab charge shot, and it's way cheaper.
Well, he's a normal gauge, right? I think the Slimey's is normal gauge.
Oh, wait, who is it that gives? There's another.
Well, I don't blame you for getting mixed up because Jelly is that jellyfish that does it, and and I get it mixed up all the time because it's meta gel. Like I get it mixed all the time, so no worries there. But yeah, that's exactly my point too. 13 megabytes, and you get your slow gauge. And then the other downside of Gridman, he's so expensive, and then like. He's not like improving your buster in any way, right? He's just like tanky. I might even put him in F, to be honest. I think low C is fine. I think like low C and F are pretty similar, but the more I liked him a lot. I liked him a lot more before I realized how cheap you could have slow gauge to start off. Because if there weren't Jelly, I think he could still be worth it just to start with slow gauge. But the fact that you got the Jelly, I think, is not as cool. Anyway, next up, I like Tinkerman a lot. I'm pretty biased. You get the air shoes, you get the beats. We discussed that with Larkman already. Super cool. Charge shots, wind rack, right? Similar to Tengu Cross, but you don't need to actually run it. And the downside is attack -1.
Now, the downside isn't really a downside because with this kind of build, you're trying to wind rack pressure anyway, and it does
you're
a
not
set amount of damage. Right?
Yeah, you're not going crazy with your P shots, really.
Yeah. So, no, this is like a really, really, really good card to have. Tenguman is just very flexible. I definitely would put him high A tier.
And I might even put him at the top just because I feel like, unlike Coldman, like you don't get disrupted by status guard. Like you're kind of always on with your strategy. Yeah. And we've talked about it already, but like Windrack's so good, right? Like, pushing the back row, blowing away the barriers, you can use your area grabs without any fear once you push them back. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. And then air shoes on your patch cards, amazing, right? So many cards want that. And then beat too. Beat's like 4 blocks, so it's not nothing. Yeah. It's nice to get a free beat.
I can't agree with the S tier placing because you don't.
No. I didn't. Yeah. No, I put him. I didn't put him in S. I was saying better than Coldman, like in the A tier. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Not S tier, but still very good. Still very, very good. Yeah, he's not as oppressive as some of those other strategies that you can get in S. But yeah, high A for sure. My whole thing was just better than Coldman because no status card. All right, next up is Dive Man. Truthfully, I may be overrating him a little bit, especially in that video I made, but we'll talk about him. 42 megabytes. You get Aqua Body, HP plus 320, Mega Folder plus 1. Your charge shot is wide shots, so 100 damage, water move that pretty much doesn't miss if you're in the middle. Downside is custom 2, which is a lot. Now, in my video, I talked about putting him with number open, which was a fun idea that Honor Knight threw at me. I don't know how valuable that really is. That's a pretty intensive build for your Navi Cust and in general. Don't know if the wide shot is worth it, but you do get an extra Mega Folder. You do get 320 HP. I don't know. What do you think, Soul? I'm kind of curious.
It's a really cool mod card. Like, I think Dive Man can just be... I think it's a B tier. You can make a build around him, and it'll be fun. It'll be a great time. I am very wary, though, of that higher placing, simply because something like Shield exists, and Hub Batch is so prevalent. So you can get access to having Shield or Reflect or whatever. Yeah,
or even the Risky Honey. And the wide shot's pretty slow. So even if you're going to hit, they have a lot of opportunity to whip out their Shield. True.
Like, those really things are so prevalent, and they will be around very often. I can't agree with it being higher, but it is such a fun little build to have. Like,
I totally agree. And man, the more I'm thinking about it, that Risky Honey is so insane because I don't even think you can uninstall it. Like, right? Like, I think normally all those programs get uninstalled, but I'm pretty sure the Honey does not get uninstalled. So
I think it does. I actually
cool.
think it does.
That's good. I wasn't sure if like the uninstall list was firm based on like the programs or if it dipped a little further. But yeah, regardless of uninstall, like the Honey is just insane. All right, next up is Judge Man. That's a really fun build. Custom 2. That's amazing. And your charge shot is just straight up grab banish. The downsides are 10% HP and the normal gauge, which is probably not a downside. What do you think about Judge Man?
Judgment's not bad. Grab banish charge shot's pretty good. Like, it's in a niche. I don't know. I gotta say I like it a lot. Custom plus 2 is also really nice, and 30 MP's kind of high. But again, this is grab banish, man. I don't even gotta play that in my folder. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I was playing a fun build from Honor Knight a while back, and he clarified it's not going to win any tournaments, but it was pretty fun to like get really aggressive with like 3 color points and double points. Like you can give up your space so much easier when you have access to grab banish at all times. And then just like shutting down your opponent's area grabs, right? Like poor Dark Megaman, what's he gonna do against grab banish charge shot? Like that's pretty right. Like he can like casually shut down a lot of strategies as well as like have his own like fun color point action. And then custom 2 is solid. So I don't know. I think he's pretty cool. He's like kind of like an anti-meta build, I guess. Like maybe on the fun / anti-meta side. Maybe high B, low A. I don't know. I don't know where to place him.
I think I'd give him B. I would give him B. 100%. High B.
I like high B too. You definitely want to build around him. But like, fun, and occasionally you'll just get like a winning matchup, right? Occasionally you'll just absolutely win the game. So cool stuff. All right, next up is Base BX, which we talked about with Twisty Remobit earlier. 70 megabytes. That's a ton. But you get your super armor. You get your float shoes, you get your air shoes, You get that triple shot for your regular P-shot, which is going to hit every row if you're in the middle. You get your charge shot as a shooting buster. And no downsides, other than the 70 megabytes. What's your take on base?
This is definitely A tier. My bias wants me to put it in S, but I can't do that. Because
love base.
I love base so much.
He's awesome. Dude. He's so awesome.
Now, the things that hold this build back is obviously you can't run a really good... This build wants you to play Twisty Remobit, right? You really want that because you can uninstall the opponent, and after the uninstall, you can kind of just pressure them with holes.
Yeah. And
just do a massive amount of damage with these shots here.
Absolutely.
Alternatively, you could run something like Twins. I think Twins is 10 MB.
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
15. I forgot what it was. There's not a lot of 10 MB.
10 and under, yeah.
Yeah.
So Remobit's probably the best one to spam those cracks.
Yeah, it's 100% gonna be just that because you want to just push advantage as much as possible. So because of that, you don't have the recovery, you don't have status guard, so you're very vulnerable to a lot of these cheesy builds, and that's kind of why it's not going to be that much better. But what you do get from it is really good. It's just so tough to play against at a top level. So I think low A is where he would actually go. Like
I like
around
it. Yeah,
where Knightman is.
Okay. Because he's pretty cool when you pull it off, and also really bad if you miss your uninstall, right? Like it's almost worthless if you can't lock them. Well, not worthless, but like you're giving up so much power, and if you're not able to actually lock them, it can get kind of tough. So I imagine there's a lot of pressure to like connect with your uninstall. But yeah, overall cool, and like once again, kind of like Dark Megaman, I think it's nice that you can have just a really simple combination of cards that's not overwhelming, and that a new player can kind of like dip their toes into, which is super nice. All right, next up. Now I think I told you this over DM, Soul Cross. I think I got bullied into Django, but I'm gonna read him out anyway. For 52 megabytes, he gives you 200 HP. He does give you status guard. He gives you undershirts, and then your charge shot is a Gundel Soul, and there's no downside other than his cost. What's your take on? I kind of tipped my hand a little bit. What's your take on Django?
Honestly, I love this card. Like, it's really good. If you have land standing outside too, it does extra damage on that Gundel Soul, so it's pretty good. It's just really hard to use because of the lack of I don't know. I feel like it just does not enough for the 52 MB.
I wish it were like 40. You know what I mean? Like, why does Planetman get to be 40 and poor Django's sitting here holding the bag?
Like if this thing had super armor, I'd be like, 100% locked in. This is
I'm with you. Yeah, no, you're right. That's the difference right there, right? Because it's like, man, the charge shot is cool, but like you stand in place. You know, you're so prone to attacks from the opponent. Like unless you row lock them, like they just step forward and they don't take the full damage. So I don't know. I feel like it's really hard to build all the way around the Gundel Soul, and the Gundel Soul is really what you want if you're giving up Planetman, right? Because otherwise. Otherwise you're just playing a more expensive Planetman, so... But
the alternative is you deal damage through Life Aura and Barrier, you pierce Invis.
True.
You can... it's pretty strong. I do think it's a really good card, but I don't think it's going to be really hard to win a tournament with this one.
Because you're just giving it the space, right? If it gave a few more abilities, or if it cost 10 megabytes less, I would really like it, but I think at 52
10 megabytes less would be really strong. Oh my gosh, right? That'd be so good.
Because it's look at actual Planetman, right? It's like he's 42, exactly. He's 42, and it's like, what the heck? Anyway, where do you put him with the actual package of Django at 52?
Honestly,
where do you place him?
Honestly, I'm putting him in B tier.
Really?
I really
I
think he's great. Build around. If 52 is just enough for you to get Totem or maybe numbers, you can get some stuff, some value in here, dude.
Wow. Okay, so I would disagree. I would put him in C, but you know what? I'm going to defer to you because you are definitely more skilled in general. You definitely know your stuff. I don't love the Gundel Soul. I think it's cool. I don't love it, but you're right, and it would be really fun to see Django sweep a tournament. I would be. The hype would be insane if you actually did do it. Shout out to anyone in chat who's listening. And for our upcoming turn, if you run Django and you win, I might give you a spicy little chip or something. Because I would love to see. I would love to see Django. I'd love to see him earn his B tier, right? I think it would be insane to actually like just see you row lock them, casually dealing 400 damage or whatever, like with the fully charged Buster. It'd be really cool. So let's throw him in the low B. I like it. All right, now we got the counts. Who is 60 megabytes? He is Mega Folder +1. Your charge shot is the Blood Rain, which I'm pretty sure is just his mega, actually just the Count's mega chip. And then the quote-unquote downside is a level 2 color bug, which is not really a downside. I mean, I guess in some cases it is, but you're obviously building around it. So, what do you think? What do you think about the count?
Honestly, okay, so the way the rain works is it will always hit every panel on that 3x3 grid on your opponent's side. So if they like area grab and they can't forward, it's not hitting anymore. But if you can keep that area at that neutral or +1 for yourself, you're always doing damage with this. They can't really avoid it unless they have like a shield or something. So
yeah, and because it's time freezing, time freezing, it's not hard to wait for it to. At least I assume it's time freezing. It might not.
It's not time freezing.
Okay.
Actually.
I was under the impression it was the counts chip, but if it's real time, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good charge shot. The only thing that holds it back is once again the size. 60 MB is
so much. 60 is so much.
I think I would, if you make a build dedicated to it, I think it could be pretty good, like high C or like. Yeah,
I like high C. I like high C too. I think you gotta, and it's not even like it's easy to build around. You have to really work hard. But you know, maybe if like the Blood Rain, like does it pierce Invis? I don't think it does, right? It's just like it's just an attack. Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame. All right, next up is Megaman 0. For all the fanboys out there, we've got ourselves 45 megabytes. He turns your regular P-Shot into just sword, like the 80 damage one panel sword. Your charge shot is Z-Saber, the actual chip from 4 and 5, which is actually kind of interesting because it's 3 swings with a 4th if you do the Sonic Boom timing with the back B. And Fast Gauge comes equipped too. And actually no downside, other than, 45 being a decent amount. What do you think about 0?
The problem I have with 0 is that it's just... It's a lot of memory just for a Z-Saber charge shot. The cool thing is, you do get the Sonic Boom Wave, which is undodgeable, at the very end of it, right? So you could be left and then get a nice little Sonic Boom that's kind of undodgeable. So you do get value out of that charge shot whenever you use it. But
and you get Fast Gauge. Fast Gauge is kind of cool to start with, too.
Yeah. I don't like Fast Gauge with the charge shot, actually. I think that's kind of odd to me, because you really want to be, like, trying to get your charge shots out as much as possible. True. You really want
That's true. Kind of a nombo. No, that's a good point. Because you want to, because why else are you running? Obviously, you maybe you run 0 for the Fast Gauge, but if you're giving up your P shot, and you're giving up like other charge attacks, you probably do want the slow gauge at the end of the day. And I see a really good comment from Mega Silver, who's saying at 45 megabytes, like maybe Knightman is just better. It's like it's pretty hard to give up. I personally don't love 0, but I don't know. Maybe there's a cool build. Maybe there's a cool like row lock, because I will say Z-Saber is strong. Z-Saber is strong, but also it's zone dependent. You have no more P shots at all. So it's a little funky. It's a little funky. Yeah, I think I place him over the Count because he's cheaper. But 100%. That's kind of my thought.
Well, actually, hold on. Count has a better. He's cheaper. Oh, that's tough. Yeah,
I know, right? Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's tough. It's kind of splitting hairs, I think, at the end of the day between these two. But I think at the end of the day, the 45 could matter. Because imagine, right? Like you can slap on like Totem or numbers, and that's pretty close to like the amount that Count Man is. So yeah, kind of cool. All right. Next up, in my opinion, well, I'll leave my opinion out of it. Actual Gregar. Straight up the Psy Beast Gregar. It's 70 megabytes. 600 HP. That is a lot. Attack +4. Speed +4. Super armor. And you do have a custom bug. Oh my gosh, it's custom bug. It's not even HP bug. It's actual custom bug. Oh my lord. What's your take on Gregar? Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like already down on him. I was already really down on him because I was like, man, like, you know, just your buster stats is not like that amazing. 600 HP is cool, but not that amazing. And the fact that you're custom bug level 3, holy cow, like that is easily the worst bug by far. So yeah, that's pretty rough. Well, of course we keep him in because he's the mascot of the game, and we got to talk about him. But we don't talk about him in a flattering light, that's for sure. Now we got Falzar. We got Falzar. Also 70 megabytes. HP plus 40%, which, you know, 40% is interesting. Yeah. If you stack it with HP, you can. That's like could be a lot. Float shoes and air shoes. Okay. And then the bug is way more reasonable. HP bug level 1. Still not great. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Still at the end, even with the more manageable one. Because think about what you're giving up, gang. Like, even though the HP 40% is cool, you know, it's like you could stack other patch cards to get more HP. I mean, like, honestly, even just chip recovery, like your totem chip recovery, you know, that's a lot of life that you gain over the course of the game, and that's only 13 megabytes compared to 70, you know? So it's like, it's tough, and it's not like you can combine 70 megabytes with like a lot of other exciting patch cards. So, yeah. I think at the end of the day, if you're playing in the patch card format, you got to ask yourself, you know, what are you doing that's stronger than just the Navi customizer? And all of these Falzar stats, the HP plus 40, air shoes, float shoes, that's just Navi customizer stuff, right? You're not dipping your toes into any powerful abilities, any powerful charge shots. You know, you're just like sitting there. Now I think it might, I don't know. I mean, we're splitting hairs with F tier, but yeah, I don't know. I'll throw him up there, I guess. But yeah, definitely F tier. Now the last one is base cross Megaman. Now it's specifically Falzar. And the reason I put Falzar is because normally base cross Megaman is pretty similar to base BX. Base cross Megaman has the actually kind of harsh downside of Mega Folder -2. But in exchange, you get 20% HP. You get float shoes on. And really the reason you would run base cross Falzar over base BX is the Hell's Rolling charge attack, which is not nothing. I think it's still worse than base BX. But I'm wondering if you think the Hell's Rolling, you know, is interesting, Soul.
I think the Hell's Rolling is very interesting, but Planetman and the prevalence of Twisty and things that make holes in general in this format, I just can't place it.
Yeah.
As high as I would. I'm a base fanboy, bro. Like, I want this to be better. Maybe if the Hell's Rolling attack went over the holes, unlike the Giga at least, you know, it would be cool, and I'd be like, you know what, I'll play it. But you got holes to deal with, and the Mega -2, bro.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
And 70 megabytes, because like, what are you pairing up with this? You're not putting in the Remobit with your triple buster, because then you're just cracking the opponent's panels and shutting down your own Hell's Rolling.
Your own Hell's Rolling.
So it's like, what do you even do? I don't even know what you pair with Fall. I'm actually comfortable putting it in F. The more we talk about it, I mean, it could be C. I don't know. It could be C, because Hell's Rolling is cool, but
for me,
I don't know.
Bro, just put him in C, bro. For me, bro. Don't do it. Don't do base like this, bro.
All right, I got you. And that's why. Look at that. Look at that. Base cross Gregar, just not even on the list, right? We don't have to talk about him, right? We're not going to put him anywhere. We don't have to rank him.
Look what they did to my boy, bro.
He massacre, just a massacre. All right, so that's crazy. We actually did cover all the patch cards. It only took 2 hours.
Wow.
It only took 2 hours. But let's go over it again really quickly in case we think there's any other placements or stuff that we might disagree with. So in our S tiers, we're looking at Planetman, we're looking at Numbers, we're looking at Totem, Satella, however you pronounce that, the Nightmare Virus, the Twisty Remobit, and the Honeybees. An A tier, we got Dark Megaman, who's hidden, but he's there. We got Tenguman, Coldman, Larkman, Searchman, Needler, Dull Thunder, Freezeman. Well, okay, I'm not going to read all these out. We can see them. But are there any last-minute changes or additions you think you might tweak a little bit, Solix Cross?
I think I would bump BomBoy up to A tier. I think it's
looking at the tier of stuff. Yeah, the tier of stuff that he's with.
It definitely feels on par with MagTech, especially. Yeah, I think I'm bumping that up to A's good. I think everything else here seems pretty legit. Like, I feel like this is pretty good.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, I don't know what to end this off with, because this was such a thorough discussion. I hope that everyone learned a lot. I certainly learned a lot, I have to say, too. I mean, this is why it's so great to have someone as knowledgeable and such a veteran in the game. Of course, we love the N1 Grand Prix. A big shout out to them for just devising a lot of resources that make it so easy to track the patch cards, you know, to see what the pros and cons of them are, to give us all the info about the way that you load the cards and everything like that. Gotta give them a huge shout out, as always. I think at the end of the day, and we touch upon this a lot, I think the most, like, if you are a newer player to patch cards, ask yourself this. You know, the abilities that you're getting from your patch cards, are they better than the Navi Customizer, right? Like, are you doing stuff that's different than just playing regular BN6, right? I think that's something to really, really think about, because I think you want to make sure that your charge shot is powerful, or you got chip recovery, or you've got status effects, you know, thrown on stuff, or you have status guard. You know, these are all things that you don't normally see in regular Battle Network 6. So it's really hard to give those up, right? It's you want to have a really good reason, I think, if you're giving up any of those effects. That's kind of my blanket take here. And I guess if we had to rank the bodies, what would you say? I think you were saying heat is probably the best in your opinion, Soul. Having a heat body is probably the best.
Heat, elect, aqua, and then wood for me. I feel like that's what I would preface it there. Because unfortunately we didn't get Shrubby on here, but Shrubby is like just making grass and just dealing damage with fire is just so easy. It's just an easy conversion. Yeah,
that's a good point. He's like 7 megabytes, I think. Where would you put him? A tier?
Honestly, yeah, I would put him in A tier.
Yeah, we'll throw him on at the end of this, because you're right. That was an oversight.
I'm pretty positive it does something else, but I don't remember all the effects that he has.
I love it. Well, we'll definitely... I mean, for 7 megabytes, it's hard to give up anything that's that cheap. And yeah, we can prune some of those F tiers if we want to make any cuts as well. Well, yeah, Soul Cross, any last like thoughts you want to end the video off with?
No, not really. Thanks for having me. I greatly appreciate it, Demi. It's always a pleasure to be around, man. I'm here for Battle Network. If you got Battle Network playing, y'all hit me up. I'll be there.
Yeah. Well, and
that goes for anybody.
And that's and just to really, you know, put you out there and plug it. You know, you can find him on Twitter under the name Solex Cross. I'm going to tag you in the video, of course. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, Soul's an amazing guy, super easy to talk with. If you have any ideas, or if you want to bounce ideas off of a really high tier player, I'm certain that his DMs are open. I don't want to, I guess I'm putting words in your mouth, but I know you love the game.
My DMs are always open. Hit me if you're in the servers, Demi's servers especially, I'm there as well.
Yep. And N1 Grand Prix, of course. Gotta give him another Discord plug. Yeah.
Shoot me a tag, hit me up in DMs. I'll help you with your builds. I'll talk things through for you guys. I'll help you try to learn. I'm here for Battle Network, man. I'm here for it all.
I love it. All right, gang. Well, with that being said, we'll see you at the No Bans Patch Card Tournament that's happening this weekend. If you're watching this video after that's passed, well, I hope you learned a lot from patch cards. I'll see you soon, Scouts, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.